In the Chinese countryside, all may seem to be well, but disaster, disease and deprivation blight this classical landscape. Summer floods destroy life and livelihood and spread disease with human waste from unsanitary villages. In Aiwa, in Guangxi Autonomous Region, Mr. Huang remembers the illness which came from polluted water. But he is smiling now. Things have improved since a Red Cross program brought good sanitation, safe water and health awareness. The home he shares with his chickens may be simple, but it now possesses wonders. Before the Red Cross came, he had no toilet, like most people in this village. 75% of rural homes are without toilets, and many people use fields and open spaces to defecate. He points beyond the pig pens. I went there, he says. With support from the International Federation and funding from the European Commission Humanitarian Aid Department, the Chinese Red Cross Community Vulnerability Reduction Program targets flood-prone villages, combining a water and sanitation response with health education and community-based disaster preparedness. In Aiwa, it pipes a safe water supply to the village from the nearby hills. The source is a mountain spring which is fed to a secure tank and filtered. Aiwa's Red Cross leader puts that in perspective. The village's old sources were polluted, he says, and a 2 to 3 kilometre walk was required to fetch cleaner water, something not everyone could or would do. Now a safe supply is on tap whenever you need it. People pay for the water, Huang Fuli says. But the community has established an affordable rate that is sufficient to finance the management and maintenance of the system. The water is metered and no one goes without. In an age when disease spreads from birds and animals, health awareness is critical. Children especially are vulnerable. Besides knowing why clean water, sanitation and hygiene are so important to them, communities living closely with livestock need awareness of other dangers. The Red Cross is providing that. An investment in education is paying off. Village leader Xu Chung recalls rainy days in Aiwa when conditions could be appalling. Animal and human waste ran through the village. Flies and mosquitoes were everywhere, along with an awful stench. Waterborne and sanitation-related illness accounts for more than 70% of infectious disease in China, and Guangxi, where in 2005 alone floods seriously affected hundreds of villages, provides a prime example. Inundating crude latrines, spreading human waste, the floods bring alarming levels of contamination. Diarrhea was common, Xu Chung says. No more in Aiwa. Filth no longer lies in the streets. Even garbage disposal has been organized. Health is much on people's minds, particularly among the women. Some people are saying livestock should be separated from people's housing. The changes eased the mind of young Mrs. New. We had to bring it from a source 2 kilometers away, she says, and when you have twins, believe me, you need lots of water. The Red Cross pipes were laid soon after the twins were born, but before, she and her husband had several weeks of having to carry water. Outside the village, it was this pond from which her husband hauled water 3 times a day. Hardly a clean source, but the best then available, and better than the filthy irrigation channel that runs through the village and from which untreated water was used by many in the rainy season. But for the people of Aiwa, things are looking up. In their faces there is hope. if still some apprehension. Natural disasters, particularly floods, are increasing, and the dry season is often a time of rebuilding. The streams that rage in summer deliver building materials in winter. It is hard, difficult labor. China's economic transformation has yet to be seen in the countryside. China's waters have been a major force in the shaping of the country. They bring life and beauty. Nothing in China is so naturally hazardous, and the dry season is a time of preparation. Dikes and dams are repaired and strengthened for the summer onslaught. The rural poor suffer most, their underdeveloped communities and reliance on subsistence farming leaving them particularly vulnerable. The loss of livelihoods and assets for people who have little to begin with is nothing less than catastrophic. People like the Nans, their business is making rice wine. We lost everything, they say. 2 years ago, floods swept away their mud brick home and the livelihood they ran within it. A new house has been completed, and they are starting from scratch again. But all they had built with 5 years of hard work, their only source of income, had been lost in a single night. Still, they are fortunate. Millions of others do not recover. China's cities are awash with peasants turned migrants whose homes were lost, rice fields ruined, and livestock carried away. Since 1998 and the catastrophe shown here, China has spent billions of dollars on flood prevention and control measures. But when climate is increasingly extreme and rains unprecedented, conventional flood defenses alone cannot protect the population. Even when main rivers are under control, hundreds of lives are lost and millions of people left homeless by flash floods and landslides. Villages like this one in Lipu need disaster preparedness. It has been flooded many times, and after each inundation, people have repaired the damage, rebuilt homes, ploughed and replanted rice fields, and struggled to regain what they had. Year after year, the cost of lost harvests and ruined land in Guangxi is enormous. In 2004, 91,000 hectares of rice fields were destroyed. Which is to say nothing of infrastructure. The village's bridge remains in ruin from a flood in 2002. With the Chinese Red Cross guiding them, the villagers have begun to develop their own disaster preparedness plan. An interactive process is underway, opening up discussion on the condition and needs of the community. Everyone can have their say, which is new for Chinese villagers. Normally, officials dictate. Top-down methods are traditional in China. Trainer Liang Fengyun explains that this is the second course of a disaster preparedness program funded by the Australian Red Cross. The key is self-assessment. What are the possible dangers? Where will they come from? In this backwater, poor rural Chinese and their livestock are the country's greatest potential source of disaster victims. But the villagers are also the greatest potential source of knowledge about natural phenomena. Red Cross experience has shown that utilizing that knowledge, and with relatively simple means, a great deal can be done at community level. Exercises are mapping risks, providing perspective on past misfortunes as the village progresses to a strategy. The bridge connecting the two halves of the village has been made a central issue. To avoid disruption, it has been decided it must be rebuilt higher and stronger. Not only the bridge, but houses must be higher and stronger, plans for the village reveal, and instead of mud, they must be made of concrete, brick and stone. Some new thinking is already being implemented. The village has realized too that riverbanks must be well planted. Trees and bamboo can break the force of floodwaters. Solutions can be simple when decisions are taken together. A critical look at the riverbanks persuaded everyone there was room for improvement. Back at the village meeting, villagers with the brightest notions are rewarded with bars of soap. Is that a hint about hygiene? Learning is fun, it seems. And the ball is in everyone's court. All the Red Cross sessions start with fun and games to maintain community spirit. Some people express themselves in song, even if it can be embarrassing. But no one is running from the challenges. The laughter is serious business.